Hey everyone, Ronan here and welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about a fun multi-class I hinted on in a previous video, the Elemental Barbarian. This combines the hack and slash playstyle of a Barbarian in combination with the punching, fist kind of flurry playstyle of a Monk, but specifically if you go the Elemental Monk you can add spellcasting to a Raging Barbarian, making a really fun spellcasting physical hybrid combination. It's one I enjoy a lot and it's one of my favorite specs in the game. That being said, if you're new, like and subscribe because I make new content all the time. I will be covering other games like Dragon Dogma 2, future Monster Hunter games and things like that. I will be live streaming 11 AM EST on Fridays, most likely going forward, so definitely come out and check me live. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get this build broken down. Alright guys, let's break this build down. Whether you want to follow this from level 1 to 12 or go ahead and respec later on, it's up to you, but these are my starting stats. And I know what you're thinking, I have such low strength, so will I be utilizing Tavern Brawler? And surprisingly, yes, this build does utilize Tavern Brawler. You can do it one of two ways. You can either use a weapon that I talk about later in the video, or simply use the Elixir Hill Giant Strength. It's going to be up to you. Dex 17, Constitution 15, Wisdom 16. This guy will not be the face of your party. He's going to have really bad charisma, so keep that in mind. My skill proficiencies, pick whatever you want, but my personal preference is to at least have something in perception to get a little better use out of your environment. Okay, so leveling up, I like starting out as a level 1 Barbarian, mainly because I like getting my rage right away, so whether you want to do that or not, it's going to be up to you. Let's go ahead and start multi-classing into Monk right away. You get your awesome flurry of blows, you get unarmored defense, which does not stack with Barbarians. Barbarians get extra AC equal to their Constitution modifier. Monks get it equal to their Wisdom modifier. The game will pick whichever one is higher, so you don't need to worry about that, but it's just extra AC no matter what. And the reason we have 16 Wisdom is just to add a little bit of better spell save DC for our spells whenever you do get those. Martial arts dexterous attacks. This is cool because monk weapons normally scale with strength, like most weapons unless they're finesse scale with strength. Well, if it's considered a monk weapon, which will be any weapon you're proficient with except for giant two-handers that are two-handed only, they will now scale with dexterity if dexterity is higher. This opens up the range of weaponry you can use for your build, which is really fun. You get Death Strikes. Attacking with a monk weapon allows you to then attack with your offhand, basically free way to do extra damage without the need of dual wielding, though for this build specifically, we will dual wield, but you will never attack with your offhand anyway. And bonus strike, unarmed strikes, we already talked about all this. Let's go ahead and just level up now. So Monk level 2, you get some key points, you get increased movement, you get patient defense, step of the wind, and step of the wind disengage. These are all essentially like the bonus actions that rogues can get, but a little bit better. So patient defense is great because now enemies have disadvantage on their attack rolls against me, and dexterity saving throws you have advantage on. So all around a really nice thing if you want to be defensive. Step of the wind dash is exactly what it sounds like. Double your movement speed, does cost a key point, but jump no longer requires a bonus action, so you can use this and jump as many times as you have movement, and likewise for disengage. So Monk level 3, you are now character level 4. You are going way of the 4 elements. You definitely want Fire Snake. This thing is really good, and this is pretty much what makes the build shine, because this allows you to attack from range even though you have a melee weapon to do some extra damage. And in turn, you now, on your next attack, will do even more fire damage. It's really great. I like that. I like Water Whip. Being able to pull the enemies to me and possibly knock them prone is really great. And then my third one is going to be up to you on preference. You have Fist of Thunders. Basically, you do your Thunder spell, knock them back. Fist of Unbroken Air. Both of these are 2 key points. One has further range though, as you can see. I like using Fist of Unbroken Air. If you want to use the Thunders, feel free, but this is just my personal preference. Alright, so you get your first feat. So you have a few things you can choose from here that you may want to do. If you want to just up your damage right away, and there's an item you get in Act 1 that will definitely significantly improve this, you're going to want to go Tavern Brawler. The Tavern Brawler, essentially whenever you make an unarmed attack, or improvised or thrown weapon, you can add your strength modifier twice to the damage and attack rolls. Well, our strength is already really low, so instead we're going to go Constitution to get our Constitution to 16 right here. That way we get another modifier to it. And this is really great because there is going to be a weapon that I'll showcase later you can get super early in Act 1 that will set your strength to 19 base, thus allowing your fist attacks to get +8 for their attack rolls and damage. It's going to be really, really great. Tavern Brawler is amazing, one of the best feats in the game, and we'll talk about this in a little bit when I break down combat and damage. For now, go ahead and get this really, really great. So Monk level 5, you get your extra attack, you get the ability to stun your enemies, which is really great. You can replace a spell here if you wanted to, but I personally like the spells we chose. Monk level 6, this is nice because now your unarmed attacks are even better. They are considered magical, so they overcome enemies' resistance and immunities. Really fantastic. You get even more movement, assuming you're not wearing a shield or armor, and some more key points here. You also get to gain an additional spell, so this is when you have some options here. Clench of the North Wind is very, very strong, but it costs 3 key points, so keep that in mind. Embrace the Inferno. Another 3 key points, but it does have some really nice things. Personally here, pick whatever you think is going to be good for you. I'm going to go with Clench of the North Wind because the extra CC is going to be better than Embrace the Inferno in my opinion. So Monk level 7, you get Stillness of Mind, just a great way for additional benefits here. Whenever you're charmed or frightened, you automatically cast this to remove the condition, so it's just free CC removal. You get Evasion. This is really great. So any dex spell that would normally do damage to you, at bare minimum will only do half, and if you pass the check, it does 0. Normally, it's not like that. Normally, if you pass a saving throw against a spell, you still take half damage. With this one, if it's a dex save throw, you take 0. Really great, and some more key points. You are a monk. You're level 8, so now you're about to be monk level 8. Total level 9. This is when you get your next feat. So your next feat here, you could either do ability improvement to get your dex up to 19, which would not be a bad thing to do. Or in my personal opinion, instead of doing that, why not get it to 18 now by choosing athlete here? So this will allow you to increase your dexterity to 18, your jump distance increased by 50%. Overall, it's just a really good feat to have, and it will give you the same modifier that we had in case you didn't use the Hag's Hair, so now you're at 18. So we're actually going to go back into our Barbarian now because we want to start getting points into this. You do get Reckless Attack here, which is nice, so you can attack with advantage, and you can use this as a reaction in case you were to miss your weapon attack. This is for weapon attacks only, not your fist attacks. It does not affect Flurry of Blows. However, if you attack with Reckless Attack first, you will have advantage throughout your rest of your turn. Barbarian level 3, we're going to go Bearheart here. This is just overall a fantastic thing to have. Your resistance to all damage except psychic. Really great. If you prefer to choose any of the others, you are more than welcome to. Bearheart's just my go-to default for anyone that's kind of new to a Barbarian. It just makes your playtime easier because you're just resistant to more damage. I do like Elkheart a lot as well though, to increase your movement speed by even more, which is insane because it will stack up with everything else you chose. It's really going to be preference on whether you want this or Bearheart. All of these have their own uses and purposes though, so feel free to pick what you want. And your final feat here, you take a look at your stuff. You do want to get the Dex Max, so now you take ability improvement to get this 20. Alright, when it comes to gearing, I'm going to point out the endgame gear first, and then we'll talk about gear for X1 and 2. So my personal favorite setup is going to be using the Bone Spike Helmet, Cloak of Protection, Bone Spike Garb, the Hell Dust Gloves, Bone Spike Boots, Necklace, pick whatever you want here, doesn't matter. Broodmother's Revenge would be really nice here because this would combo with the other 2 items we're about to talk about. I unfortunately do not have it on this file. Ring of Regeneration, and the Whispering Promise. Feel free to mess around with your neck and rings. They are not going to make or break the build whatsoever, so you can add whatever you want here. But the Ring of Regeneration, the way this works, at the beginning of your turn, you are healed for 1d4 hit points. This counts as a spell, so this will proc Whispering Promise, giving you 1d4 to your attack rolls and saving throws, which is fantastic, so even more chance to hit. If you did have Brood Mother's Revenge, which is a necklace you can get inside Act 1, this would also cause your weapon to be coated with poison. Really, it's going to be up to you and what you want to use here. Now, when it comes to weapons, though, this is going to be important. If you take a look, I have 19 dexterity despite having negative, or 19 strength despite having negative strength at the beginning. And that's because of a weapon right here called Club of Hill Giant Strength that you can get super early in Act 1. I use this in my offhand exclusively to simply grant me 19 strength. That way I get the +4 modifier to my strength, which would then be added to my attack rolls with fist attacks because of the way Tavern Brawler works. Torch of Revocation, fantastic one-handed weapon, really strong, does 1d4 necrotic, 1d4 fire, all around great, has a chance to burn as well, and you can make this even stronger, which we are going to do. So what I want to end up doing, go ahead and unequip your weapons here. What you want to do is put this weapon on the ground, take your Drake Throat Glaive, you now have a spell, which we're going to use. We already have fire on it. Why not add something else? So we could add even more fire damage, which wouldn't be a bad idea, but we could also add cold, acidic, thunder, and lightning. I'm going to go ahead and add acid to it. So now, when I equip my weapons, you have +1d4 acid, 1d4 necrotic, 1d4 fire. It has a weapon enchant +2, and it has a chance to burn. Really, really strong. I put my club back on, didn't get my strength up even higher. So what about for Acts 1 and 2? Well, that's when you're going to have some other items you can mess around with. One of my personal favorite chess pieces is this one you get from Act 2 from the vendors inside Moonrise Towers. Whenever you rage, you gain 2 turns of wrath, which is going to give you 2 turns of increased damage, and it increases your constitution by +2, giving you even more survival. What a fantastic thing this is right here. Really, really fantastic. Now, if you don't want to use the Bone Spike boots, which I showcase here, which are really great, you have +1 to your AC and saving throws as long as you're not wearing armor or holding a shield, which we are not. It gives you increased jump distance by 5 feet, which stacks on top of everything else that we already have for increased jump. So our jump distance is really high, but you also have an ability called Brutal Leap, which is once per turn. Leap at the target and possibly knock it prone. Really great because you can use this and jump really far and knock everyone prone. It's a really, really powerful set of boots you can get really early inside Act 3. Another fantastic set of boots though, of course the Kushigo boots. You get these towards the end of Act 2 into Act 3 in kind of like the transition period. Just adding your wisdom modifier, which is 16. So +3 to your unarmed strikes. Just ways to increase damage even more. It's going to be up to you whether you want to use these or the boots. The boots are more survival. These are more damage. The gloves I'm using, the Hell Dust gloves, one of the best set of gloves in the games. +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC. What a great pair of gloves. Your weapon attacks deal additional 1d6 fire. Your unarmed attacks deal 1d6 necrotic and can possibly inflict bleeding. You also get raise of fire cantrips as well and +1 to your strength saving throws. If you're not going to use these, I would say use the flawed Hell Dust gloves. Pretty much the same thing, just not as good. Really, really fantastic set of gloves right there. Anything else though, it's going to be up to you. The armor, you can move in and out, but another thing I really like is going to be the helm, the Bone Spike helm. Whenever you rage, hostile creatures must make a wisdom saving throw or they take psychic damage, which is nice. You really have this though for the +2 to intimidation, but you get menacing attack. So once per turn, you can possibly frighten your target. They'll have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, and they cannot move, which is really, really strong. It does a lot of bonus damage because it does add +4 damage from your proficiency on top of it, and you can use it once per turn. All around, really, really strong. Alright, before we start combat, I do want to state, because someone might ask about it, what about Ring of Elemental Infusion? Basically, you cast a spell and you can add that element as damage to your next attack. Well, this does not stack. The Fangs of the Fire Snake and this ring essentially do the same thing, except Fangs of the Fire Snake is way better. So don't even bother using Ring of Elemental Infusion. Now, when it comes to your bow, I didn't really talk about this much. Bows, pick whatever you want. Because you did start out as a barbarian, you will have proficiency with any type of bow in game. The Titan String Bow just does additional damage to my strength modifier, which would be +4. If you don't want to use this and you want more benefits in combat, things like the Hellrider Longbow are really great. +3 bonus to initiative rolls, advantage on perception and ability checks, really, really great. However, I like using this on more slower allies that don't have that much initiative or much dex. Deadshot, another fantastic bow, which just increases your chance to crit, so I'm going to equip that one instead. Alright, let's go ahead and open up in combat here. We're going to start right here on Edowana. If I said that correctly, I'm not even sure, to be honest. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to enter turn-based mode. I'm actually going to attack with Reckless Attack. That way I can go ahead and get advantage on all my attacks coming up. So you can see I need 16 to hit and I rolled 31. Not even worrying about it. So we'll attack. Now this is great. So he actually had better initiative, but he's going to attack me from range. So I can now use Deflect Missiles, which allows me to basically add 1d10 plus my dex modifier and my monk level, trying to reduce the damage to 0. And I could retaliate by throwing the weapon back at them. So that's what I'm going to do. Deflect Missiles. I hit him. He's also bleeding. And the reason he's bleeding is because my weapon, or my gloves, can read it has a chance for unarmed attacks to deal additional necrotic damage and possibly inflict bleeding. Even though I threw the weapon at him, it was considered bludgeoning damage, and it is affected by Tavern Brawler and everything else that affects Fist, which is pretty cool. So he's already bleeding. So on my next attack to him, if I do it in turn, he takes 2 additional slashing damage and has disadvantage on Constitution saving throw. Alright, so now it's my turn. We're going to go ahead and rage because I definitely want to make sure I take reduced damage from everything. It also did some damage to these guys as well, which is cool. Unfortunately, I am out of turns now, so we're going to go ahead and just end my turn with me right here. Now, the reason I wanted to rage, all the damage they're doing to me right now is quite a lot. And think about how much damage they would do if I didn't have reduced damage. All this normally would be ×2, but because I am raging, it is being reduced. So I am going to use my reaction again. So I could go ahead and attack him again, but I'm not even going to worry about it this time. We'll save that for another time. Alright, now that it's my turn, I have quite a few things I can do here. Now this is when, if I had better spells, it'd be more useful. I chose Fist of the Unbroken Air because I like the range on this, but with how close everyone is, the Thunder spell would have been really useful to knock them all back. Unfortunately, I don't have it now. So I have some other options I can do then. What if we just want extra damage in general? You just want to knock some people out. Let's start with this character here, right in front of me. Attacker. You can see I did some decent damage. Let's follow that up with Menacing Attack. And you can see I did some really good damage to her, and she's basically dead. She has 1 extra HP that I have to work with here. So I have a few things I can do. Do I want to attack her with my offhand, which is an okay option, I guess? Or do I want to attack her with my fist? My fist will do fire damage and necrotic because I had Fire Snake, so it applies the fire damage. The necrotic damage comes from the gloves right here. So I'm going to use my extra attack to simply just knock her out so she doesn't heal the allies. And she's gone. And you can see I just did a really, really good amount of damage. If you take a look at that damage, you can see the bludgeoning damage from here So you have your proficiency bonuses, all that stuff for the chance to hit. It's quite a lot. The Bless, Tavern Brawler. But then the damage roll itself is 1d6 bludgeoning, +5 dexterity, +4 strength from Tavern Brawler. Really fantastic, and I got all that really good stuff. It's not affected by raging. I know in other videos I said it was, and I actually have footage of it showcasing that it is affected. Every single patch, it seemed they couldn't decide whether they wanted rage to actually affect your fist attacks or not. Some attacks it did, some attacks it didn't. I don't know what to tell you, but in this patch it looks like raging does not affect your fist attacks whatsoever from what I can see in my testing, but it does give you that reduced damage, and raging will of course increase your damage with melee weapons and when you decide to throw enemies as well. Now you can see they're also taking damage when they attack me. And the reason they're taking damage when they attack me is because of my Bone Spike armor. It just has the ability to do damage back to the attackers, which is pretty cool. And you can see it right there. It says reduce all incoming damage by 2, and whenever I'm hit by melee, the attacker takes 3 piercing. So all this time they were taking damage as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and really knock up the damage here. We're going to use Fangs of the Fire Snake again. Now this guy's a little out of range. I could technically hit him. So I could go here and try to pull him back without moving at all, but it's only 40% and I would have to move forward slightly to do it. So instead, let's go ahead and just hit this guy. Do some good damage. We're going to follow this up. And you can see did a lot of damage there. And now we're going to simply attack him normally with our main hand attack. And he's gone. And we'll just end the turn. We'll deflect missiles again. Alright, so now I have quite a few things I need to think about. Take a look at my HP. I'm at 40 HP, which is kind of low. So what I want to end up doing then is I'm actually going to use Step of the Wind Disengage right here. I'm going to get out of combat so I can move up. I did take a bonus action, which is a little unfortunate, but that's okay. Because I just want to get out of range, and I'm going to start attacking this guy up here. Because he is a little annoying. So I'm going to attack with my Reckless Attack on him. Now you can see I have advantage for the rest of my turn, so I could now use something else. Fire Snake attack again with advantage. I was hoping I would crit, I didn't. A little unfortunate. We'll end the turn there. So even though he's right next to me, chances are he's about to hit me, so which is point blank. We will use deflect missiles this time, and that was a crit, so he died. Alright, so now it's my turn. So now I have quite a few things I can do again. I did want to showcase the jump, but because these guys are always right next to me, I don't really have anywhere I can move, and I can't jump in place. You have to jump a certain distance, and they will get attacks of opportunity on me. So instead, let's try to knock one of these guys back. You can see, though, the chance of knocking all these guys back is a little low since I'm threatened. So other options are to simply attack and just do damage. Or I could heal if I wanted to with Unrelenting Ferocity, which wouldn't be a bad idea. That's what I'm going to do. Only gave me +5, but it did give me Bless again. I have my bonus action here, so that's what we're going to do. And we're going to attack one of these guys. Let's attack the one right in front of us. We are going to paralyze him. That way, he's not going to attack on his next turn. And that came from my necklace. All right, now that it's my turn, we're going to go ahead. This guy in front of us is going to die regardless, so we'll go ahead and just kill him right away. He's gone, so now I can do some extra damage. We'll attack you, try to frighten you. We'll go ahead and crit just to get some extra damage in. So he's really low. This other guy is low as well. I can now follow up with my unarmed strike and finish him out. One guy left. Now, I am out of key points here, so I can't use any of my cool key stuff. But what I can do is attack. He's almost dead. I can use my unarmed strike as a bonus action. And then I can follow up with a regular attack once more to finish him. One thing to keep in mind, always have your toggle dual wield off. You do not want to attack with your offhand. Your little extra punchy attack you can do is way better than attacking with your offhand. That's basically how the build works, guys. You go in, you attack. If you want to get advantage for all your attacks going forward, you attack with reckless attack. And then your punch attacks like flurry of blows or your extra offhand attack will end up being with advantage. It's up to you. I really like this setup though. I tried it out with a few different weapons here. You can technically do this with versatile weapons for two-handed if you do want Great Weapon Master. However, you will have to give up a feat for that, so keep that in mind. I like this dual wield build, however, though, because it did allow me to gain majority of the points I would have from Tavern Brawler without the need of needing to go full strength. So I could still keep all my dex stuff. You need to take a look at everything I get from my scaling. I get my +5 from dex, +3 from constitution, +1 from fluid protection, and +1 from invasive instincts, which of course comes from my boots. So your AC isn't the best, and it can certainly be better. For example, if you wanted to respec this build and not put any points in the constitution and put them in other things, you could by simply using the Amulet of Greater Health. And when you equip this, you can see your HP goes up to 145 and your AC gets bumped up to 23, which is very powerful. But this is going to require you to get really far into Act 3 to do it, which is also where you end up getting some of the Hell Dust stuff. Realistically, though, you could use the other Hell Dust gloves we talked about earlier and still do perfectly fine. But that's the build, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.